Okay, let's see how ridiculous I can get with this recursion thing. I have a few videos queued to publish, and I'm getting ready for the next step, which, although I wanted it to be the Levinux project, it turns out it's going to actually have to be thinking through next steps. So I'm going to open another tab. Well, that's one way to do it. I can actually open two things simultaneously in Vim. So there's two approaches right there. And it depends on whether you want your copy buffer to be shared between your sessions without having to use the Mac operating systems or your host operating system's copy buffer, which can be a little strange in Vim. So I'm going to go tab E, and the file I'm interested in right now is the Readme, because it becomes part of the GitHub documentation on this project, and it gets a lot of high exposure. It is the page that when you visit GitHub for this project is this one right here, and so this Readme I'm doing now becomes this at the bottom of GitHub, and it has a significant marketing documentation aspect to it, and this is where I'm going to sell the public on Pipulate. So I need a roadmap in there, and I want it to be really clear that I'm providing a roadmap. So I think I'm going to do another little fancy bit of structured text like this to put down here. I think I put pre-tags in there. How did that work exactly? Pipulate lets you collect data. Okay. I guess it just detects it. Is that true? We'll find out. It is Markdown, so there is a chance it's just detecting it through the formatting. And then there is this, which is becoming that YouTube, that thumbnail picture down here, which I might get around to changing. It's not really representative of the project so much now that it's starting to take on a user interface. See, Pipulate has a UI. Very basic, but it's there. And so I want to pause so that I can find the program I used to create these logos. Well, I didn't have to pause that. All you got to do is search on Text Art Generator, and I can see from me having visited it already, this is the one I had used. So I type in something like roadmap, and then I tell it to test all. And then I just scroll down to find the one that I feel is going to live most nicely underneath Pipulate. So see Pipulate, you see a bunch of stuff, and then probably I'll insert here roadmap, or maybe get rid of the picture and put it down there, as that's starting to feel a bit dated. So let's find one that works and not spend too much time, but it is very visual, might make a good YouTube video. This is the kind of stuff I do all the time to market my own stuff to me, because the better you market your own things to yourself, the more likely it is to get used. So I kind of like that diagonal. Would that live well with that? Roadmap. Very compatible typeface. This is just called slant. And we hit select text. We hit copy. Whoops, I hit back in the browser. Okay, so here, let's put it in place of that picture. Let's get rid of that picture. Set paste, so that we are able to paste without silly indents. Get ourselves back in insert mode, do an operating system paste, and there you have it. Got some unusual text highlighting. I'm not sure if that's from backslashes or what, but I am going to do a shift, get out of insert mode, do a shift V, and then just indent that. So let's say to about there. Yeah, okay. And now let's put some roadmap items. And we're in markup, so you get a lot of mileage out of just doing numbered lists. It'll get nice and formatted. Easy general accessibility. And to me, that means a run on Levinux or hosts. It means one of those two things. I can also see that I need more space above there. I could have done Shift-O instead of arrow keying up, but you know, the more you do in Vim, the better you get at it. So what next? It's been asked for by Chris Smith and others. We need to put some actually useful real world functions. No more spam and eggs. Okay, that's a good one. Probably I'll get to that today so that people who have gone through the work of getting this running locally can do useful stuff with it. 3, I want to make sure that scheduling is designed in from the very start, because this becomes infinitely more useful if anything you do, you can also say do that repeatedly, and so long as your server's running, some task will kick off and Pipulate and maybe add lines to your spreadsheet and continue, so that whenever you go in, any linked graphs are updated off of the data, or you can just see the line entries in the spreadsheet to see how many times your video has been viewed, your article has been tweeted or shared, etc. Any metric for SEO or social can basically be reported by this system for free, particularly when you provide the logins to get into the services where you're collecting data from if it's behind a password. So we shall call that scheduling. And this is Python Advanced Scheduler, I believe is what I'm talking about. Advanced Python Scheduler, AP Scheduler. So that's my parentheses. AP Scheduler question mark, because that's the one that looks appealing, but I don't really know for sure if that's going to be it. And right along with scheduling comes trending. There's a lot of ways to state this, and the fact that I don't know how to instantly state it shows I haven't fully thought through what it's going to be. But it is essentially trending, and it goes hand in hand with scheduling. If something gets repeatedly triggered off, it's not going to just replace question marks, because on the first run, those question marks get replaced. So it's like new sheet creation, and then you have a spreadsheet with tons of tabs at the bottom, tons of worksheets, or adding rows. So it's like adding new rows on scheduled, adding new scheduled rows, scheduling new row creation, row or tab creation, because I don't want to rule out the possibility of using tabs. What if a new tab only gets created once a month, and January's activity gets queued up in January's tab, February's in February? That's how I did tweet capture when I implemented something similar to this in a product or two of this version ago that I did for 360i, a product or two of a similar categoried product that I did for 360i. It was called Tiger. Tiger is not Pipulate. Pipulate is from scratch with its entire life documented here in Github, not only in the repository but in the YouTube commits. And on Pipulate, I'm going to be solving a lot of the things that proved to be problematic in old versions. Amongst them were the lack of user interface, which I've solved with jQuery Mobile, and opening a new window instead of an iframe onto your existing window. Scheduling, which I haven't addressed yet. Trending, which I haven't addressed yet. And then working behind logins, scraping Facebook. etc. That could be session hijacking. I'll put that in question marks. Or other techniques. So this might actually work by starting out by logging in at Facebook and then popping over to Pipulate, handing over the authentication tokens, which gets to the point that one of the things that I fixed on this that wasn't this way on Tiger was that authentication is now taking place with OAuth 2. So there is never a username or password cached anywhere in this coding system, and not even one of these OAuth 2 client secrets, which usually gets into the source code, because I'm using OAuth 2 explicit grant mode, and that will get to the one edit I'll do here before I wrap up this video. Let's see. I need to save that and colon GT, go to next tab. Let's see, tab N. Yeah, tab N for next. I got to remember, once you tab E, I got to remember how to switch between different Vim tabs. But at any rate, what I'm looking for is where I talk about authentication token. Interesting. Oh, there it is. If access token is in request.arg, I drop it into the session. I get a message ready for the user, and then I stay on that screen. Whereas if there's a hash symbol, I use jQuery I use JavaScript to forward it, which will make it get trapped in here. And I'd like to sort of erase it from the URL quickly. But first I'll show you what I'm talking about, and maybe the work to actually replace it will be in the next video. So are we in Pipulate, cd Pipulate, git status. So I've really only modified the Readme so far, and I'm going to vim.gitignore and put the PYC files in there. Those are compiled Python, which will get recreated and recreated and recreated every time you modify the code. So now only gitignore and readme have been modified, and I'll have to commit and push those. Added roadmap to readme.md. Oh yeah, this is the machine where I haven't git amend. Okay, git config global user.name Mike Levin. Git config global user.email mclevin@gmail.com. And this machine I set up for development work only last week, so some of these basic things I haven't really done yet, and that has one commit in the GitHub history which doesn't have my thumbnail picture on it. Git commit amend reset author. Right, quit, git status. Okay, one commit, and I will do a git push And I do have this set up with the keys so that it's just a quick push here. Whoops. And so now I go over here and we go into Pipulate, and you can see here it used to be this. I do a refresh and now it's this. There's my roadmap work right there. And that's enough for today. That'll get me thinking through all my issues and start to show the roadmap to the public. And hopefully I'll start to turn this into a much more interesting location to watch. So anyone who's following this, make sure you star and follow this project on GitHub called Pipulate. Thanks for joining me. And when next you come back, I'll actually start choose one of those things and do it. Oh yes, while you're here, tab next, unhardwire the localhost stuff. To unhardwire localhosts so it can run hosted on registered domain. 1z equal, and let's see, there's probably a faster way to do this, but I do want to increment those numbers. It doesn't matter, Markdown would number it correctly on the website, but at least that way I remember that that's a high priority item, because that's a logical way to run this. Maybe even my choice for later today to get this used in place of Tiger with my audience at the office, which is Flying Point Digital. Thanks for joining me on, and be sure to tune back for the next video from today's Code with Mike Friday. Talk to you soon. Don't forget to subscribe.